Perfect Parent is honestly my go-to book. It's my guide. I keep it on my nightstand.
The book for me has become my Bible, my go-to. If only I could have 1,000,000 copies for every place in the house and every tantrum that I have to deal with.
It's not so much becoming a better parent, but a better person.
There's no single factor more important in its potential for healing the world, more radical in its potential for healing the world than how we teach our children.
So Roma really has taught me to be a more emotionally aware parent, which really has helped me connect with my child so much better than I ever have. And it really has created a stronger bond between the two of us.
Communication. Communication is where we come together, we commune, and we find a union with our children. We have a dialogue with our children.
One of the things that I've done with my son is the Take 5, which is, you take 5 minutes to do pretty much nothing with your kid. Now he actually asks me every day, Mommy, when do we get to have our 5 minutes? So it's something he looks forward to, and it's something I really look forward to. It's really become our time together, and in this crazy world when you don't have a lot of time, that's really something to cherish.
To me, parenting is more about what we're going to take away. How are we going to feel at the end of it? We want to look back and say, I think I did a great job. I think I did the best that I could.
Emotional intelligence is really understanding their emotions, recognizing their emotions, helping them sort out their emotions.
I definitely ask for her advice almost on a daily basis, literally. And she is there with her genuine spirit and just amazing, warm energy. I have never met anyone quite like Roma, which I know many of us can attest to, but it is really true. She is such a warm person and very, very true.
بینندگان گرامی، به برنامه مادر و کودک خوش آمدید. امروز میهمان گرامی برنامه من خانم روما کترپال هستند. ایشون نویسنده کتاب The Perfect Parent و همونطور که در این ویدیو کلیپ شما مشاهده کردین، تک تک مادر و پدرایی که این کتاب رو خوندن و استفاده میکنن در رفتارشون و شیوه برخوردشون با بچه هاشون، اون حس دلبندی، دلبستگی و آرامش و صمیمیت رو، اون پیس لرنینگ رو در رابطهشون احساس کردن و این کتاب به خیلی از کسانی که به خصوص در رابطه با emotional intelligence، اینکه با احساسات خودمون یا بچه هامون چگونه برخورد بکنیم، چگونه اونها رو کمک بکنیم که یه به جایی برسن که کنترل بیشتری روی احساس و آرامش و حس صلح درشون به وجود بیاد. میهمان برنامه گرامی، مهمان عزیز من Roma, thank you so much for coming to Mom Talk. Thank you for joining us today. It's
Thank
a
you for
pleasure.
having me. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So The Perfect Parent, tell us about the title. How did you come about this title and why?
Well, I feel like with parenting, the whole idea of doing everything right, really doing everything perfectly, that pressure is so huge on parents. And honestly, I really wanted to shatter that a little bit and get parents to be a little more comfortable with who they are. And really, I think when we get comfortable in our role as parenting, we do our best. And so I've sort of demystified the word perfect in the way, and the way I explain it in the book is, if we were to line up a bunch of children, and if we had a choice to pick another one, we would pick our own. And that's because our children are perfect for us, and vice versa. If we lined up a bunch of parents and asked our children, even on our worst day and their worst day, to pick a different parent, they would still pick us. And really, that is what makes the relationship perfect, is that you have come into each other's lives at that perfect time for a lifetime, not just for a moment in time, but for a lifetime. And that truly is the perfection that we should all accept and know that that's the only perfection that a parent should carry through their parenting life with their children.
Yeah. I know for many parents who work with you, who attend your seminars and you coach them, loving your child just the way they are, loving yourself just the way you are, and going to the soul and heart of the parenting, listening to your heart, that really resonates. It's so beautiful, and you live it. You just don't intellectually write about it and coach and teach it. Just being with you, it resonates. So it's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing, and how inspiring to hundreds and thousands of people who are coming across and learning from your model. This is one way to parent. And
I have to tell you, the first tool in the book is honorable parenting.
Okay.
And honorable parenting is about being that parent that honors themselves for who they are, their own parenting personality, their likes and dislikes. And I think when we get to that platform of inner peace with ourselves and honoring ourselves, then we can really honor our children. We can really accept them, and accepting their personalities, their differences. I mean, how often do we tell our children, you need to be like this child, or, look at what they're doing. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on children and really takes you away from that foundation, that core of parenting, of really accepting your children as they are and then making that a platform for growth. So, honoring ourselves, honoring our children, I think that's such a huge part and should be the very first step in mindful parenting.
Okay. Why do you think we're so attracted as parents to being the perfect parent? Where is that coming from?
I think there are several different factors that pull us in that direction, if you will. The environment, trying to do as much as we can, trying to go above and beyond, really trying to fill our plate with much more than we can handle in this social media time that we're living, where parents are doing so much. Their plates are so full. If so and so is doing a dance class and a piano class and a whatever class, you want your kids to do the same. And I think it starts out with really good intent. I think it starts out with the intent that we want our children to be well-rounded. We want them to know about everything and anything. And in that, we fail to realize that time is a big factor. When we put that pressure on children to do all those things, it pretty much occupies our whole day. And it's a lot of monkey see, monkey do as well, what we see in the environment. And I think college applications, I think they leave us no choice. Parents want to groom their children from the beginning. This whole thing about, your application has to be well-rounded, make sure that your children do a little bit of everything. I think it starts very, very early. And a lot of colleges and a lot of deans at schools are also seeing how those parameters affect parenting and children as well.
Okay. So at a society's level and educational level, you're saying that all these standards and expectations are pushing us towards maybe idealizing, maybe thinking that we can do it all, and perhaps falling into that trap of doing too much and stimulating our kids.
And I think that multitasking is crowned.
Okay.
Nowadays multitasking is rewarded and multitasking is celebrated. And when we multitask ourselves, it's sort of a whole different thing. But when we take that into parenting, it really taxes the relationship. It really taxes the bond between parent and child, because multitasking is time-consuming. And the less time you have to interact and bond with your children, the more pressure it's going to put on the relationship and on the children as well.
I personally have experienced this with families I work with, as well as my own family. And I think if we're in a community where we support each other, to encourage each other to do less and take those take fives, 5 minutes to connect and really get to know each other on an emotional way.
Of course.
And to communicate healthier.
Yes.
Which I would love for you to talk about that a little bit more. I know communication is a big C for you.
Yes.
It's a big topic.
It really is,
and,
yes.
what are some tips that you have, or tips for parenting regarding communication and
First of all, if you look at that word communication, the base word is commune, is to come together. So really, in that coming together, in opening that dialogue between parent and child, managing emotions is a big part of it. I've broken down communication into 3 different facets: thoughts, feelings, and expressions. With expressions, I mean actions or words, either of the two. And really, when our thoughts and our feelings are balanced, then we can communicate effectively. So the foundation of effective communication with children falls back into our inner world and how we manage our own thoughts and our own emotions before we, throw that word out, or that sentence out, or a command, if you will, out, a direction out to the children. So I really believe that communication is that foundation, because really, if you think about it, we all want the same for our children. We all want our kids to, as the tagline of my company says, we want our children to be happy, to think positive, to do good, and every parent wants the same for their children. But in the long term, Nelly, and that's where a lot of delusion comes in for parents. We forget, we sort of do not remind ourselves often enough that what is our long-term goal with parenting. Yes, we have this long-term goal for our children to raise kids to be happy, think positive, and do good, but for ourselves, out of parenting, the only thing that we need to keep an eye on is our relationship. And that relationship comes from communication, from opening up that dialogue, and the foundation of communication is emotional intelligence, being able to balance children's emotions. And as you know, in a definition, emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and recognize our own feelings and those of others. And if we can apply that basis to ourselves, when we are upset, when we are taxed, if we can balance our own emotions. And I've simplified Dr. Daniel Goleman's, the pioneer in emotional intelligence. I've simplified his teachings. So I have to say that is the biggest tool that we can give parents today is knowing this. Actually, first of all, the understanding and the knowledge of the wealth of knowledge that Dr. Goleman has given us is emotional intelligence is the driving factor for children's success today. It used to be IQ, and today it's EQ. So if we can all understand how to balance emotions, how to be emotionally intelligent ourselves, and how to take that emotional intelligence into parenting with our children, then in essence, by doing it ourselves, they will already learn it. They will become a part of an emotionally intelligent environment and hence be emotionally intelligent themselves. And as we know, as I mentioned earlier, that is the driving force for children's not just academic success, but life success. And there's 20 years of research behind this. So I'm really passionate about bringing that to the table and really having parents understand the importance of emotional intelligence in parenting children.
And what a gift to be able to pass on these skills and help parents and coach parents to develop more EQ, emotional intelligence, and to be able to pass this on to the next generation. Because I know for many of us coming from the Middle East or Iran,
diverse cultures,
where emotions were not really encouraged. You were asked to not share emotions. Oh, boys don't cry.
Don't talk about it.
About it. Also,
suck it up.
Suck it up. Yeah. So we have the sort of history of that. And now, as a new parent, a young parent, trying to parent, being more in touch with one's own emotions and regulating and down-regulating, as well as being able to pass that on to our children. I'm sure there are moments when those hot buttons are pushed and we lose it. So what are your suggestions or recommendations for those moments when you lose it?
I think that the first first thing to do is to make those, in order to make those moments few and far between, is to be able to cut down that multitasking schedule, is really to be able to spread out your day as such where you make that 5 minutes. I have a tool in the book called Take 5, and in Take 5 I advocate that every parent should take 5 minutes a day to do nothing, to do absolutely no thing, just as the word signifies. And when I say to do nothing, I mean with nothing on the agenda. Put everything away, put away your phones and laundry or whatever's on the agenda, and just sit with your child. And in my parenting classes, one of the best responses I get is the conversations that come out of these 5 minutes, and how those 5 minutes become such welcome, not 5 but 10, 15, 20, and issues come up with how the children's day was and what they were feeling, and an event that happened, or puberty, or all these different issues children end up bringing out into the open because now we've committed to that time. And really, if you get that 5 minutes, that really becomes a platform of connecting with your children.
I know some moms who set it on their calendar and they have a reminder, and therefore it's so structured and scheduled into, and kids look forward to it. Both parents and
that's
children.
okay. I say start with the structure. Put it in your calendar. Have a little alarm, a little banner, a little reminder, a little notification that beeps you. Take 5. It's time for 5 minutes. And at that point, just put everything away. Leave your phone in. Go sit in the backyard or in a window or anywhere where you feel like you just have that quiet time with your child, and spend that 5 minutes. And it truly has become the feedback I get on that is fabulous. And
I love it.
And of course, the second tool, which is most popular, is dealing with the feeling, which is simplifying emotional intelligence with the 3 steps: spot it, say it, okay it. So dealing with the feeling is this emotional intelligence tool, and the 3 steps again being spot the feeling, so spot it, say it out loud, and then okay it. And if we were to put it in an example that between parent and child, I would say, yes, I see that my child is angry, so that's the spotting it. Saying it out loud, honey, I know you are angry right now. Think about it, when we are upset, when we are angry, if somebody comes to us and says, I see that you're angry right now, immediately you see that emotional temperature drops. It's like somebody turning down the volume on your emotions. And then, of course, going to the okay it. So spot it, say it, and then okay it. I completely understand that you're upset. If I were you, I would be upset too. And then that really turns down the volume of the emotions. So what you've done is you've recognized and understood the child's emotions. And once you do that, then it turns down the volume of the emotions, and then of course once the emotions are turned down, then the intellect is free and open to access. Then you can have a nice dialogue with the child.
Then you have the nice flow. But many times what happens is, I've noticed, moms get frustrated because they can't soothe a child who's having a tantrum or having issues with their feelings and emotions, and then that becomes frustrating because perhaps they're more in that perfect parent mode. And so I can't soothe my child who's in distress, and more frustration leads to higher volume.
Definitely.
And therefore the
when the intellect is clouded with emotions, how can you communicate? How can you have that interchange, that dialogue between parent and child? And oftentimes what aggravates us, and you know this, Dr. Nelly, with children yourselves, with young children, is the state of mind that we are in. How are we feeling at this moment? What is our emotional platform? What do we look like on the inside? And really taking that dealing with the feeling into yourself, and saying, okay, I am really aggravated right now because I have 50 things on the agenda and my child will not start their homework. I haven't started dinner yet. My husband will be home soon. We still have to do the project. We have to work on the project after dinner. And so, of course, your mind is thinking all these different things, and your child comes up with an emotion that you do not give time to sort out because of your own agenda. So the very first step would be to take a deep breath and to do a little dealing with the feeling with yourself. what am I feeling right now? How am I feeling right now? And doing that spot it, say it, okay it, and telling yourself, calming your own emotions down. Once we turn down the volume on our emotions, then we can think more clearly, and then we can take the child through that those three same steps. And it seems taxing, like in the beginning, when I taught this in my parenting classes, moms would say, oh my God, that would take so much time. How am I supposed to do that at that split second? But I really say it's just like, it takes time. You have to build those skills. We were talking about building muscles earlier, right? And building these skills earlier. And just like the importance of alphabet, right? What do we do with children when we start teaching them the alphabet? It starts with a repetition of the A's and the B's and the C's in so many different ways, through phonics, through flashcards, through, verbal repetition. And what happens at the end, the reason why we do that is because we know the benefit of reading. We know the benefit for our children for their academic success and their life success. Similarly, emotional intelligence and emotional vocabulary should be built the exact same way, with focus and attention, knowing that as you build a child's emotional vocabulary, as you build their emotional intelligence, it's going to contribute not just to their academic success, but also to their life success. So really important to keep that eye on the emotional intelligence.
Awesome. Awesome. Going back to the big C, the communication, have you noticed a gender difference between sort of dads and moms, and how the communication moves channels and the development of it and the family system? What are your observations? And
it's interesting because I get asked that question all the time, is how do I bring the dads on board? And I've had a few mom and dad parenting classes as well. It's a 6-week class, and we've had moms and dads in the class, and it's very interesting to observe fathers with their guard down, paying attention and really focused in, because as we know, and this is not something that is unknown to any of us, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and even in our emotional platforms we're different. But I tell every parent this, that if one parent is on board and if one parent starts to practice that mindful parenting, then it is a matter of time that it becomes a household feeling, a household environment. And it's a matter of time when a father sees the success, or vice versa. If the father is being emotionally intelligent and the mom sees the success of that they will join in. We are attracted to love, right? That's just who we are, whether we're man or woman. Yes, how we think and how our intelligence and how we absorb things and how our emotions play out, that might be different. But the essence of it is love, and there can be nothing truer than that love between parent and child, and nothing purer than that love. So when a father sees a mother interacting in that way, they will definitely follow suit. So I say just keep your eye on the ball and do it yourself, whether you're dad or a mom, and everybody else will follow.
Fair enough. What parenting topics are important to you? I know you talked about mindful parenting. Give us some more topics, and also in today's busy life, as you mentioned, we're multitasking, we're so busy, technology has increased the speed of life tremendously, many folds. How do we slow down, and what are some good practical tips that parents, moms especially today, can use on
I truly believe that my goal with the book was to make it simple, to simplify parenting, to make it easy. So the tools that I give, the 5 tools that I give, are honorable parenting, which we talked about, approachable parenting, how do you make yourself more approachable to your children, how do you make yourself more flexible, keeping that open mind, open heart, and the third tool is sensible parenting. Sensible meaning breaking down that word sensible. What does sensible really mean? Sense-able, using your senses to connect with the kids, using that touch, using that eye contact, and how quick that is to make an impact. Think about when we go to talk to each other. If I'm talking to you looking in a different direction, you will feel unvalidated, and vice versa. So when we do that with children, when we are sensible with them, use our senses to connect with them, really listen to what they're saying, we make deeper connections. And the fourth tool in the book is reasonable and responsible parenting, how to reason instead of argue, and what is the difference between reasoning and arguing. And then, of course, responsible, response-able, how to respond instead of react. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in big time. You know, our responses and reactions are all emotion-based. You know, if our emotions are calm, we will respond, we will have a well-thought-out response. Whereas if our emotions are taxed, we will react. So, you know, the tools in the book on how to change or switch an argument into a reasoning, into a discussion. And of course, last but not least, is enjoyable and memorable parenting. How can we enjoy this ride? Really bring that essence of joy. And how can we make this memorable? Because really, honestly, if you think about it, Nelly, at the end of our ride as parents, hopefully there's not an end to this ride as parents, as long as, you know, as long as we're around. We always want it to be that way. But towards the formative adult years, it really is not going to matter whether our children went to Harvard or Yale or became, you know, a CEO of a company if we don't have that relationship with them. It's really not going to matter what they do if we don't have that bond with them.
It is who they become and your relationship with them. That's so important, and a reminder to all of us to remember we are raising a child, one of the most important jobs in the world. You know, I think it's hands down the most important job in the world. And so to really foster that, nurture the peace learning and bringing a close relationship with your
And I love that
sibling.
peace learning, by the way. I think it's so soothing and calming. The parenting classes that I have are called Happy Relaxed Parenting. And it sort of gives me that same synchronicity of, you know, that peace learning, because it can be done. It can be done. It does take a little effort, but then what doesn't? You know, anything takes focus.
And I think as parents, especially parents living in Iran, parents living in the Middle East, where you feel like you're faced with an educational system where you don't have that intimacy between the teachers and the students. You don't have the teacher who will get down to your level, look you in the eye, and communicate in a peaceful way. Then it's even more important for us as parents to cultivate peace and to bring that intimacy into the core of one's being. Because we are raising a generation who are going to then know what it means to be confident, what it means to be a peacemaker, what it means to focus on those important issues in tomorrow's world.
And speaking to that point, Nelly, I really believe that being that peacemaker, that guiding point for your children comes from doing away with the hierarchy that we are superior to the children. You know, and I think that is a very, very important fact in our culture, in our, you know, in our, it's, you know, I am the parent because I said so. Really doing away with those sorts of explanations which don't mean anything. I remember those times even with my mom where I would say, you know, why do I have to do that? It's because I said so. And of course, you know, today when I sit and discuss the same with my mom, you know, we talk about how meaningless that is to a child. Because I said so really does not, is not the foundation of any sort of thought or emotion. If anything, any sort of positive thought or emotion, if anything, it's hurtful to a child because it makes you feel inferior, it makes you feel less. And when we build confidence, when we build that love, that peace really starts from honoring the children and their existence equal to our own, really very, very much equal to our own, because their life is not any less important than ours. Their feelings are not less important than ours. Their thoughts are not less important than ours. And if they are the future, if they are that next generation, that is, if they are the world itself, then giving them that honor from the very beginning. is so important in opening up that dialogue and building, as you said, their confidence. And once you build that confidence, that's where the peace comes in. You know, when we're confident, we're peaceful. You know, it's when we're not confident about ourselves, that lack of self-love and self-respect is when the chaos within starts, and that chaos within mirrors on the outside.
Yep,
Yeah.
you got it. Right on. Let's shift gears a little bit. One topic that comes up a lot in some of my parenting classes and working with families is the topic of discipline.
Yes. That's always a big one.
So the perfect parent, what does discipline look like, and what are some of your tips in disciplining in a peaceful way?
Yeah. Well, I really think that it's important for children, you know, it's important to set guidelines for them. But as children get older, when we start to say, this is the rule and that's the rule, you know, think of human nature in general. When we have a rule somebody gives us, human nature is to break that rule, you know, to want to break it, to want to explore what is beyond that rule. So I really think it's very, very important to, as children get older, to do away with the word rule, for, of course, not the safety things. This is them using your better judgment as a parent, but to guide them, so that as children get older, you can do the guide and step aside. I think that's something that guiding children and using guidelines and saying that here are the guidelines for XYZ, whatever the parameters are that the parent is putting forth. Just using that word guideline instead of rule really helps relax the child and their intellect to make that decision that is beneficial for them. After all, we want our children to be self-reliant. We want them to be independent, as the word signifies. Independent meaning dependent on your inner selves. We really want that for our children. And discipline is that red carpet invitation to start making children independent. And of course, we're not talking about the safety, you know, when children are young, with, you know, touching a hot iron or going near fire, what have you. So important to have those as, these are concrete rules because they are for your safety. And then here are the guidelines for decision making. I think if we start that early on and involve children, pull them into the decisions, I think that's really, and in our culture, again, that is very much, that's very much not the norm. You know, we don't do it that way in our culture. Mostly it's, you know, I said this, do that. And changing that dialogue to, what do you think about this? How would you like to do this? Interestingly enough, it takes a couple of sentences more in the dialogue, so it does take a little bit longer, but the gift of it at the end, the result that you get at the end is so rewarding, because you'll find children making those, you know, mindful, careful decisions themselves.
One, absolutely, and I love when the educational system is aligned with the home setting and home environment. And one practice at Curtis School, where my kids attend, has been common sense. And so each month there is a topic, and they started off with manners. And why is it important to say hello and to greet your friends and your family and to make that connection? So the whys and the reasons behind these common practices of, that we call discipline sometimes. And I know sometimes parents get so frustrated because they want their 8-year-old or 10-year-old to have good manners. But it's worth the time and the effort to guide your 8-year-old or 10-year-old
through those steps.
For them to internalize the feeling, the empathy, you know, that actually when I did that, that felt good, and I felt like I was making a connection with the person, and to be patient with it. Which is,
and I talk about this in reasonable and responsible parenting, is using the whys, the whats, the who, the when. You know, we really are less inclined to follow instructions or discipline, if you will, if it makes sense to us. If we are able to intellectually, again, going back to the 3 facets of communication, thoughts, feelings and expressions, we are less likely to follow things if they don't make sense to us. So it's really important to have that dialogue open with children, even during discipline, which really, honestly, that is like the toughest thing to do, right? You're talking to your child and you have, in the midst of an argument, how do you take that step back and really using your natural resources? I think that's so important. Taking a deep breath.
Taking a deep breath, being patient. I know in our culture, especially greeting the elders, like the grandparents, and making sure you come and say hello and greet your elderly is a huge respect.
Yes.
And so to make those connections, to communicate, and the whys and why is this important?
Yes.
And to repeat it, because the repetition is what's going to turn into a meaningful.
And I think most important is do it yourself.
Yes. Correct. Right.
Which monkey see, monkey do with children. If you do that, there is a time with all children. I think in parenting, there's a time where they might drift away from those basic concepts that they're exposed to. But know as parents that your job is just to reiterate, just to remind them again, because they will come back to it. You're tilling the soil. You've sowed the seed. So it's that tilling the soil and watering the soil during your parenting years, and they all return full circle to that.
Wonderful. I'm curious to learn about your personal experience as a mom. Tell us about your family. I know you have older kids.
Yes, I do.
Tell us about your experiences earlier in life and as a mom. What were some challenges? And
Sure. I'd love to. My son is 24, almost 25.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
You look 24.
Oh, thank you. Yes, of course. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to come back on your show and start with that. Here's the 24-year-old mom. And my daughter's 27. So she's in Boston. She's doing her master's, and she's in graduate school. And my son is in our family business. And really, they are my teachers. I have to say, if it wasn't for my children, if it wasn't for their nudging, why do we have to do this way? Again, being Indian, we have a lot of rituals.
That's right.
We have a lot of, this is how we do things. And really the children would constantly ask me, why do we do this? Why do we have to do it this way? And interestingly enough, a lot of questions that my children asked me, I didn't have the answers to. I did them because my mom did them. I did them because my mom told me to do it, or my dad did them, and what have you. And you realize when you have children with their whys that, if you don't have an answer for them, if you don't have that why you do something, then they are probably not going to do it. Long term, they're going to probably drop it. So it really became important to me to have the children involved with what I do, and I found the most effective way was to satisfy their curiosity, to explore those whys myself. And when I say rituals, I'm talking about in the Hindu religion. We have so many different rituals, and my daughter would constantly nudge me. Why do we do this? Why do we put the cake coconut? Why do we light the candle? Why do we bow down? Why do we touch the feet of the elders? There's so many different things that you would ask me the whys on, and I had to explore them. So I really felt that put me in that made them my teachers, right? Because now it's their whys that made me into that student that went back and started to explore, started to open the books again and say, why do we do this? I have to give a logical, a valid answer to my child, and the only way that you can do that is if you're open-minded and open-hearted. So I found myself for the moments that I walked away not answering their question, it would sit in me. So I think that I realized very young that when my children were very young, that if I answered their whys and whats, then I felt more confident as a parent, and they had more respect for whatever it is that whatever the task was that I was asking them to do. And one of them was lighting of the candle. My daughter asked me, why do you light the candle? Why does Grandma, because Grandma lives with us, why does Grandma light the candle every day? And I said, well, it's for good luck. And then I thought, no. There's a bigger reason for this. And this is before this inner light mindset. Now it's so, mainstream. And so really exploring what that meant, lighting of the candle, how that enlightens you internally, and it might be those simple things, but taking that time to help them, I think that was really valuable for me. And I realized very early on that I have this backwards. I think I'm teaching them. Well, guess what? They're teaching me just as much, if not more. If not more. I mean, look at, I realized over parenting my children the first few years that I became more patient. I really found out what the meaning of unconditional love is in its true essence. You know, what is that unconditional love? I realized that I could actually function with much less sleep than I thought I could. You know, and there was all these things that my children taught me, and I started to look at them. I started to really value this relationship as to, what are you going to teach me next? You know, how am I going to learn from you next?
How beautiful.
And I think that's a relationship we have today as well with the children. I always tell them, my son said this to me yesterday. He said, Mom, notice how I'm right on a lot more things now than you are? And it was something about a check stand and using an application. I said, you know, it's true. You haven't stopped. So I think as a parent, we don't stop learning from our children, and that has been our most valuable tool to communicate. You know, just keeping that simple fact in mind has really built that communication between myself and my children. And again, Nelly, I mean, it's not to say that we didn't have challenges. Oh, we had every teenage challenge that you can think of in the book. And it's not to say that, you know, oh, this wonderful family who has no issues. Absolutely not. We had all the issues, we had all the challenges, but I think the difference became is that platform to be able to talk about them, giving that children that comfort level, and especially when they made mistakes. I remember when I was in high school myself, I had this one teacher. I'd made a mistake, and I was called to the principal's office. And it's a long story, but it was a big one. My parents were called to school, and there was the assistant sitting outside the principal's office. That she looked at me and she said, I know you're scared, and I know how it feels. So I really want you to be honest when you go in there. I see you're crying. I know you're sorry. Just be honest with them and tell them that you're sorry. And that really, I reminded myself of that when my children made mistakes. That kindness, that kindness. I honestly don't remember the details of what happened when my parents were called to school and I was in the principal's office, but I remember clearly the compassion, the kindness, the empathy that teacher showed me. So I reminded myself of that when my children made mistakes. Is guard down. Do not jump. Do not, you know, react to this. Take a deep breath. Calm your emotions and listen, because they're already scared. So that really became another formative way of us having that open communication with each other. And I think that if we just invest that little time, it makes such a big difference.
Beautiful. How inspiring. I love listening to your life story, and you're such an inspiration. Tell us about your involvement in the educational system. I would love to have you on Mom Talk again, so that we can go into depth about it, because your leadership and what you're doing as far as the educational system and bringing change is so inspiring. But shortly or briefly, can you give us an idea of where you're headed and how you're implementing these tools into the sort of bottom up the educational system?
Of course. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And I have to tell you, that was really not something that I had planned on. That's something that completely fell into my lap during an educator event that I had for the book. Soon after the book launched, Dr. Joan Lucid, the superintendent of our Saugus Union School District, she started talks on how can we use the tools in this book. And of course, our catalyst was Ann Unger, and I'd be remiss not to mention her. She was the director of the SCV Education Foundation. So both the Santa Clarita Valley Education Foundation and the Saugus Union School District came together in recognizing the tools in this book, and they approached me to see if I could put together a program for campus supervisors, or yard duties. You know, they're most commonly known as yard duties. And it was a very interesting proposition from them. I really had to step back because, Nelly, I had just published the parenting book, and I thought, okay, so I'm in the parenting arena, if you will. And I'm jumping ship here, going into the school district. And as I started to explore the opportunity, and I realized it all falls under the bigger umbrella of Tools of Growth, which is, to help children, I realized there was a big need for it. And, before I knew it, we got a grant for it, and we currently have what's called a Mindful Play Leader program. And it's a program for the yard duties, for campus supervisors, and at this point we have 80 participants. So we have 80 different yard duties that come together. It's 4 sessions. We've finished 2 sessions and have had a fabulous response, which has been so soul satisfying and so fulfilling.
How wonderful.
Yes.
Congratulations.
2 more sessions to go.
Congratulations. Would love to have you and talk about it further in a different program.
Of course.
You are an inspiration, your leadership
thank you.
in the
Likewise.
world of parenting and education, and how you get the connection and how invested you are in bringing change in your community across the world, and your focus globally. It's truly inspiring.
Thank
and
you
it's
so
been a
much,
pleasure
Nelly.
having you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Tell our viewers who want to connect with you and they want to attend your seminars, they want to follow you on social media. How
Yes.
do they connect with you? What's the best way?
Toolsofgrowth.com,
Okay.
www.toolsofgrowth.com. And of course, my email address and everything is on there, so if you'd like to connect directly, I would be more than happy to answer any parenting queries. We do have a parenting seminar coming up. It's a huge conference. It's the first of its kind on conscious parenting. It's led by Dr. Shefali Zahiri, who's also on the cover of my book. She's endorsed the book, and she was also on Oprah. And this event is called Deconstructing Parenthood. And this is going to be a coming together of many conscious parenting leaders and teachers. And of course, Dr. Shefali is hosting this event, but we will also have Neil Donald Walsh. We will have, of course, Conversations with God, his book and his new book, Conversations with God for Parents. So all these parenting experts coming together in a weekend seminar, and Malika Chopra, daughter of Deepak Chopra, and living with intent and parenting with intent, and how can we bring that into parenting. And I have the honor of being the Master of Ceremonies. So I'm really excited about interviewing and interacting and introducing, engaging with the audience. So yeah, I would love to see all of you there, December 4th
sign up.
to 6th.
So if they follow you, you'll have that information posted on your social media.
Absolutely, it's on my website as well.
Perfect.
And yeah, so
Wonderful.
we'd love to have everyone there.
Yeah, we hope that you all join us. Thank you for joining us today. Before we close, tell us about your favorite places to visit in LA. Where do you like to go? Where do you hang out?
I love the beach.
Okay.
We're California at heart, right?
Okay.
The sound of the ocean, of course, does the whole thing for me. So I love the beach. Every opportunity I get, I've done a lot of my writing at the beach. It's very inspiring for me. And I know it's sort of a cliche to say that in California, right? Because everybody loves the beach, but truly that's where I find my serenity. And I love to, go to the libraries. I think that for me is, again, a place where you can really harness the energy of the world and of what we can offer our children. So those are 2 of my favorite places to go to.
And hobbies? What
hobbies?
yeah.
I love dancing. I love reading. I love, oh my God, I love to cook. One of my passions is to be creative and presentation, which is awesome, kitchen presentation. I'm big on that. And swimming, love to swim. I try to swim every single day, in the summers at least.
Okay.
So yeah, many.
Yeah, wonderful. Your favorite color?
Red.
Red.
Yes. Color of power.
Yes, yes, it is.
I would say black, but that's a non-color, right?
Well, no. It's also a good, grounding color.
Yes.
How about one of your favorite books?
Christine Carter, Raising Happiness.
Yes.
Love that book.
Yes.
And of course, Dr. Shefali Zahiri's The Conscious Parent.
Okay.
I think those 2 books offer such similar yet such different ways of engaging. And then again, if we were to talk about my favorite authors, Dr. Daniel Siegel, we talked about him.
Sure.
Mindsight, one of my favorite, all-time favorite books. So yes, many. Dr. Wayne Dyer, he's one of my favorite authors. He recently passed.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. Well, here you have it with Roma and The Perfect Parent. Thank you for joining us today. تا هفته آینده بینندگان گرامی، روز و روزگار خوش و خدا نگهدار.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
آیا می‌دانید قوانین فدرال در مورد آوردن پول از ایران مرتباً در حال تغییر هستند؟ در دفتر حقوقی یزدانیار تخصص ما مسائل مربوط به تحریم‌های اقتصادی میباشد. قبل از هر گونه مبادلات مالی با ایران با من مهنوش یزدانیار در دفتر حقوقی یزدانیار تماس بگیرید تا ما شما را در این موارد پیچیده قانونی یاری کنیم. شماره تماس 310 780 6360 و یا 415 656 5178.
هپی تراول تورهای خود را به دوستداران مسافرت تقدیم می کند. از 19 نوامبر تا 29 نوامبر با هپی تراول برای دیدار از 4 شهر شمالی هندوستان چون نیو دهلی، آگرا، دیدار از تاج محل، رنتوبر، برای دیدار از سافاری و جیپور همراه باشید. این تور شامل ویزا، هواپیما، هتل‌های 5 ستاره، 2 وعده غذا همراه با آب، نوشیدنی و میوه است. همچنین در یک از شبها شو را مهمان هپی تراول خواهید بود. از 27 دسامبر تا 7 ژانویه برای تورهای فامیلی ویتنام، سنگاپور و تایلند همراه هپی تراول باشید. این تور شامل هتل، هواپیما، 2 وعده غذا، ورودیه برای مراکز دیدنی و ویزای ویتنام است. هپی تراول به مدیریت خانم الیزابت، چهره ناماشنا در تورهای مسافرتی. 310 570 7076. آیا مشکل کردیت دارید؟ تیم ورزیده آگاه و مجرب کردیت ریپر اسپشیالیست در خصوص بازسازی کردیت بد، پاک کردن پرداخت‌های عقب افتاده، ورشکستگی، کالکشن و جاجمنت زیر نظر آریان اقبالی، مدیریت کردیت ریپر اسپشیالیست بهترین انتخاب خواهد بود.
سلام، کردیت بد خود را به من و همکارانم بسپارید تا آینده‌ای درخشان را برای شما تضمین کنیم.
کردیت ریپر اسپشیالیست 1800 685 71 20. توجه فرمایید. آیا به رعایت بهداشت و تندرستی خود اهمیت می‌دهید؟ پس توجه فرمایید. با استفاده از محصول تخصصی ریمیده، بهداشت و تمیزی را به خود هدیه دهید. ریمیده با نصبی آسان بر روی تمامی توالت‌ها، بسیار محکم، ساخته شده از لوازم فلزی، قابل حمل و نقل با طراحی مدرن کانادایی. ریمیده توسط یک مخترع نوآور ایرانی کانادایی ابداع شده است.
با درود به شما هموطنان عزیز، من ناصر پولی مقانی هستم، مخترع بسیاری از محصولات بهداشتی از جمله دستگاه ریمیده که با نصب آسان و کیفیت بالا، قیمت مناسب و ارسال در اسرع وقت در زمینه بهداشت حرف اول رو میزنند.
ریمیده با نصبی آسان، قیمتی مناسب، مقرون به صرفه، ارائه کننده بهداشت و قابل استفاده برای کودکان، خانم‌ها و آقایان، سالمندان و همچنین افراد معلول. 888 539 66 66. مرکز مسکونی مراقبتی نور اکتیو لیوینگ، اولین مرکز شمال کالیفرنیا، شهر سانتا کلارا در بی اریا، به نام نور، مخصوص نگهداری و پذیرایی از سالمندان ایرانی، شیک، تمیز، زیبا، و چون خانه دوم شما. در خانه نور خدمات گوناگونی چون خدمات اولیه، بهداشتی غذایی، شامل تغذیه سالم ایرانی پسند، متناسب با موقعیت جسمی هر فرد و زیر نظر و دستور پزشک به همراه نظارت بر مصرف دارو، کمک‌های لازم روزانه، ورزش و کارهای هنری و سرگرمی ارائه می‌شود. سالمندان شما در خانه نور تنها نخواهند ماند و همدم و هم صحبت و دوستانی در کنار آنها خواهد بود. خانه نور آماده پذیرایی دائمی و یا موقتی در اتاق‌های خصوصی و یا مشترک 2 نفری از سالمندان. 408 380 4036. با شهرزاد تراول از شرق به غرب و از غرب به شرق سفر کنید. چنانچه علاقه‌مند هستید از ایران و یا از هر کجای دنیا به آمریکا سفر کنید، شهرزاد تراول برای اخذ ویزای توریستی و دعوت شما برای دیدار از دیدنی‌های لاس وگاس، نیویورک، واشنگتن و هاوایی و بسیاری از ایالات مختلف آمریکا در خدمت شماست. 310 477 9400. و اگر در آمریکا هستید و قصد دیدار از زیبایی‌های ایران را دارید، شهرزاد تراول با تورهای بسیار جالب شما را به دیدار از مکان‌های دیدنی شیراز، اصفهان، همدان، کرمانشاه و بسیاری از نقاط دیدنی ایران دعوت می‌کند. با شهرزاد تراول از شرق به غرب و از غرب به شرق در دنیا به روی شما باز است. 310 477 9400.
At California Web Solutions, everything is possible. Because it's not just about a website, it's about a professional and effective website. It's not just being on the internet, it's being on the first page of Google, Yahoo and Bing. It isn't just a shopping cart. It's showing your product at the top of Google, Yahoo and Bing. Because we at California Web Solutions believe that the first impressions are most lasting. So let's get to work. 818-346-0701. www.californiawebsolution.com.
برای پخش پیام‌های بازرگانی خود در شبکه اندیشه با شماره 818 734 7100 و یا با سایت www.
خانم ها آقایان، با درود، با یک بخش کوتاه خبری در خدمت شما هستم. بابک زنجانی، تاجر زندانی، روز دوشنبه 18 آبان در 6مین جلسه دادگاه خود با اعلام اینکه برای یک شرکت نفتی وابسته به وزارت نفت ایران و همچنین بانک مسکن حکم توقیف اموال گرفته است، گفت اگر بخواهید اذیت کنید من هم اذیت میکنم. به گزارش خبرگزاری فارس، وی در این جلسه دادگاه گفت که من امروز 2 سورپرایز برای وزارت نفت و بانک مسکن آوردم تا شاید با من همکاری کنند. بابک زنجانی با بیان اینکه میخواهم کار انجام شود گفت من اگر میگویم شاید قوی تر باشم منظورم این است که کسی که با 1000 میلیارد تومان کار میکند عقلش هم به اندازه 1000 میلیارد کار میکند. اگر بنا به دعوا باشد قطعا نمیتوانید نسبت به من برنده باشید. آقای زنجانی در 5مین جلسه دادگاه خود گفت که برای کمک به مدیران بانک